Before things got serious between Amelia and me, she went out drinking and ended up sleeping with her lifelong friend, Victor. I remember her weeping, practically on her knees in front of me, swearing it was a mistake and not meant to happen. I loved her, so I decided to let it go and forgive her. But then she went and got into Victor's bed again when she went over to apologize to him. I went ahead and arranged for Victor to get married to someone else. When she found out, she slapped me, shouting, "Are you crazy? Why are you forcing Arthur to marry someone he doesn't love? How can you be so cruel?" It was my choice, I thought. How dare she put the blame on him? When she rushed off to try and stop his wedding, I just turned around and walked away. A week later, I uploaded my own marriage certificate online. Amelia completely lost it. Her eyes red and puffy, she grabbed my shirt collar and demanded to know, "Where's Arthur? How could you force him into a marriage he didn't want? Why are you like this? Is it wrong for me to care about Arthur? If you hadn't insisted on waiting for marriage, I wouldn't have cheated in the first place." Looking at her face, twisted with anger, the intense ache in my chest suddenly felt much duller. The woman I'd been devoted to for 5 years, it was only now that I was seeing her for who she truly was. I gave a short, bitter laugh and told her the location of Arthur's wedding. She let go of me and hurried off. I was left there, holding my neck and struggling to catch my breath. We were supposed to be getting married in 3 days, and I had already forgiven her once. How did everything go so wrong? I called my father. "Dad," I managed to say, "Amelia cheated. I can't marry her." Instead of comfort, he immediately started yelling at me. "Have you lost your mind? The company's finances aren't looking good. If you don't go through with this marriage, what's going to happen to the business? How many women in our social circle do you honestly think are perfectly behaved? Amelia made one mistake. Don't exaggerate the issue. If you refuse this wedding, then don't consider me your son anymore." Since I was a kid, my dad had always made it clear that my marriage wasn't just my business. But when I met Amelia, I genuinely thought we were in love. It turned out to be nothing but a deception. After a long time, I dialed a number I hadn't called in ages. When the person on the other end answered, there was a moment of silence. In a strained voice, I asked, "Do you want to get married right now?" I hung up and sent Amelia a short text message saying, "We're over. No need to meet again." She called back instantly. "Julian, can you please stop this nonsense? We're about to get married and you're making a spectacle." I let out a soft laugh. "Oh, so you do remember we're about to get married, yet you still cheated?" Amelia hesitated, then her frustration took over. "Julian, I saved myself for you for 5 whole years. It was just a little mistake, and you're turning it into a huge deal. Besides, I only see Arthur as a younger brother. Nothing really happened between us. Both times were just simple, accidental slip-ups." In her eyes, my chest felt heavy with a dull, throbbing pain. To her, her infidelity was insignificant. Just as I was about to speak, I heard someone near Amelia. "Amelia, I'm cold." Her voice instantly softened with a warmth I had never heard directed at me. "Just a moment. We're almost there," she said gently, then spoke into the phone for my benefit. "All right, we'll talk later. Arthur is really distressed today. Regarding the breakup, that's not going to happen. Our families have been planning this for so long. Breaking up now, how do you think that looks for our family's reputation?" I scoffed. The Baker family's reputation. To her, her family's standing was clearly far more important than our 5-year relationship. And Arthur, he was just skirt, and she was being protective. My hurt was just a petty complaint to her, a trivial matter. My phone slipped from my suddenly weak grasp and clattered onto the floor. Tears finally came, but they weren't warm. They felt icy on my cheeks. I'd cried too much over her, and I felt almost completely numb now. That desperate call I'd made earlier was now a firm, clear decision. No more second-guessing. Amelia, you drove me away yourself. The years I spent dating Amelia weren't without kindness or affection, but ever since her childhood friend Arthur came back from overseas, everything changed. Her eyes instinctively followed Arthur wherever he went. Her phone background, which used to be a picture of me, had quietly been swapped for a photo of a landscape. When I asked her about it, she just shrugged it off, saying, "I need to look professional for work." Our weekends, which were once exclusively ours, were suddenly packed with social gatherings, always with Arthur present. When Arthur would call late, rain or shine, and no matter how late the hour, she would rush to him without hesitation. She rationalized it by saying Arthur grew up abroad, had just returned, and felt scared often. As an older sister figure, she felt she should watch out for him. At first, I tried to tell myself that Amelia was just being kind, seeing him as a little brother. They had grown up together, so it was natural for them to be close. I did my best to overlook it, trying to be the understanding boyfriend. I even encouraged her to spend more time with Arthur, not wanting to seem jealous or controlling. But the way she looked at him, a mix of pity, affection, and a kind of deep tenderness I had never seen before, wasn't how a sister should look at her brother. Her voice also took on a gentle, careful tone that she had never used with me. When she first ended up in bed with Arthur after drinking and knelt before me, crying and begging for my forgiveness, I chose to forgive her. I loved her, and I desperately clung to the small hope that she would come back to me fully. But now, I can't lie to myself any longer. Some things, once they are broken, cannot be repaired. My patience and understanding, she may have just seen them as permission to push the boundaries even further. That night, I went back to the apartment Amelia and I shared. Out of respect for my belief in waiting until marriage, we had separate bedrooms. She had the large master bedroom, and I had the smaller one. She was rigid about keeping the premarital boundaries, but not about keeping her promises to me. As soon as I switched on the light, Amelia's door opened quickly. Arthur walked out, his hair messy, his pale, bare chest visible with red marks on it. He saw me and hesitated for a moment before a small, self-satisfied look crossed his face. Amelia came out right after him. Seeing me, she stopped. "Why are you back?" she asked, her voice colder than the wind outside, laced with irritation at being caught, and a brief flash of guilt. But the guilt disappeared so fast I wondered if I had imagined it. "Arthur is afraid to sleep by himself, so he's staying over tonight," she said with a small, defiant smirk. I couldn't bear this. It wasn't a discussion. It was a cold, brutal statement. From behind her, Arthur peeked out and mumbled in a sheepish voice, "Don't get the wrong idea, Amelia. It's my fault. I rely on her too much." Her expression softened, her eyes showing a kind of compassion she had never shown me. Watching their performance made me sick to my stomach. Whatever I said, keeping my voice steady and calm, and without looking back at either of them, I retreated into my room. I began packing my things methodically, determined to leave everything behind. On my bedside table was a framed picture of Amelia and me. I picked up the frame, looked at it for a brief moment, and then threw it, frame and all, into the waste bin next to my bed. I wouldn't need that photo anymore. As I looked around the room, my eyes landed on my jewelry box, and my heart sank. My grandmother's platinum necklace was gone. She had given it to me on her deathbed, saying it was for her future granddaughter-in-law. It held all my love and memories of her. I had kept it safe, waiting for the day I could give it to my wife myself. But now, The spot where it lay was empty. I yanked open my bedroom door, demanding an explanation. "Did you go into my room?" I asked Amelia, my voice shaking with rage. She blinked, feigning indignation. "Why shouldn't I go in? Isn't this my home too?" "My necklace," I insisted, taking a step closer with each word. "My grandmother's necklace. Where is it?" She flinched, knowing how much it meant to me. "Arthur was in there earlier. Maybe he took it." Before she could finish, I rushed into her room, and there it was. My necklace, broken on her bedside table. Arthur looked at me, pretending to be innocent. "Oops, I just meant to borrow it for Amelia. I didn't know it would break. You're not angry, are you?" Clenching my fists, fury boiled inside me as I stared at the shattered necklace. Finally, I couldn't hold it back anymore. I lunged forward and slapped Arthur hard across the face. "Who the hell gave you permission to touch it?" Arthur was stunned, his eyes narrowing with hatred. "You bastard, you—" He was cut off as Amelia stormed in. Seeing the mark on Arthur's face, she slapped me back without a second thought. "It's just a necklace. If it's broken, it's broken. Why did you hit Arthur?" The sting on my cheek was nothing compared to the sharp pain in my chest. I shook my head, unable to fully believe what was happening. She knew how important that necklace was. She was there when my grandmother passed away. It was my last connection to her, my only way to hold on to her love. But now for Arthur, the man who was destroying everything I held dear, she had struck me and dismissed the loss so easily. Her hostile glare made me shiver, as if I were facing a stranger. She seemed to realize she had lost control of her temper and took a step back. But the coldness in her eyes didn't fade. "She's gone. Why cling to a necklace? It broke. Get over it." Then she added, "Stop making a big deal out of it." The woman standing before me had the same face, but her expression was now strange and frightening. Her eyes were full of fierce defense for Arthur and a blatant impatience for me. I let out a low, bitter laugh. I had finally seen her true nature. I turned away, ignoring her and the man behind her, and started picking up the pieces of the necklace. I felt a tug on my arm. Arthur burst out, his voice tinged with fake remorse. "I messed up. I didn't mean it." His plea had just enough panic and false guilt to almost sound genuine. His tear-filled eyes looked at me as if I were the one being unreasonable and malicious. "Could you please stop fighting with Amelia? I really know I made a mistake." Amelia quickly stepped in, pulling Arthur behind her. Her gaze grew colder as she looked at me. "Why are you apologizing to him?" "It wasn't even intentional," she said to Arthur, then turned to me, her voice rising with accusation and disrespect. "I bet he did it on purpose. If he can't keep something so important safe, he deserves what he gets." I couldn't feel the pain on my cheek anymore, nor the tearing sensation in my heart. I slowly got up, turned, and left that ridiculous home. Staying for even one more second felt like an agonizing punishment. I walked aimlessly down the street. I had escaped that place, which she called home, only to realize I had nowhere else to go. I could almost hear my father's sharp voice on the phone, criticizing me without trying to understand what was right or wrong, pushing me to apologize to Amelia, and warning me not to mess up a good match with the Bakers. To him, my pain and anger never mattered as much as his reputation and the family's supposed interests. Just as I was walking, blankly forward, a set of bright headlights suddenly stopped right in front of me. The car door opened, and a familiar figure stepped out, silhouetted against the light. Seeing who it was, I froze. It was Eva, my friend from childhood, the one who had rushed back from overseas when I jokingly said I was going to marry her. She walked over to me, her eyes settling on my swollen cheek, and she frowned slightly. "How did this happen to you?" That simple question was like a key, instantly unlocking all the emotions I had been trying to suppress, all the pretending to be strong, all the numbness. It all crumbled away when I saw her face. The anger, despair, and resentment I had bottled up surged forward like a rushing river. I couldn't hold back anymore, and collapsed into her arms like a lost child finally finding safety. All the emotions that had been building up for days spilled out all at once. Ava didn't ask what had happened. She simply put her arm around me and gently rubbed my back, tenderly, as if I were something delicate. There. It's okay now. Her voice had a calming strength, softly echoing in my ear. I'm here. Ava helped me walk over to a bench by the side of the road, and we sat down. Julian, she said suddenly, her voice a little low. The other day on the phone, you said you wanted to marry me. Did you still mean it? You really agree, Ava? Hearing this, she chuckled softly, as if I had said the most ridiculous thing. Why else do you think I came back? She asked, raising an eyebrow in a playful way, her eyes holding a teasing spark. Flying here non-stop for more than 10 hours, and not even stopping to rest, then rushing to find you. What else could it be for? She reached out, her fingertips lightly wiping away the tear tracks at the corner of my eye. Julian, she said, her voice rough with exhaustion from the long flight and lack of rest. I haven't slept for almost 36 hours. Then you should rest. I'm fine. I lowered my eyes, my voice softening. Besides, before we get married, I want to properly introduce you to my grandmother. Even though Grandma is gone, I want to take you to her grave and tell her I've found someone to spend my life with. Okay, she replied, agreeing to my request. Ava insisted on taking me home, but in the end, I couldn't accept, and we ended up getting 2 rooms at a hotel. By the time I woke up the next day, Eva was already awake. Since we were ready to get married, I took her to see my grandmother. I watched Eva standing alone in front of my grandmother's headstone, saying something quietly. Then she turned to me with a soft smile, holding my hand. Let's go. Your grandma said she's at peace, leaving you with me. I smiled through my tears, following her to the marriage office. Luckily, we made it just in time before they closed. Even with the marriage certificate in my hand, it all felt a little surreal. Just yesterday, Amelia's betrayal had completely crushed me, and today I was married. Ava was clearly thinking the same thing, holding the marriage certificate and looking at it over and over as if it were hard to believe. Even though Eva and I grew up together, we hadn't seen each other in more than 5 years, and things felt a little awkward. I cleared my throat, and the next moment, Eva hugged me gently and said, "Happy wedding day." Soon after, when I posted our marriage certificate on social media, Amelia called. I took a deep breath, pressed the answer button, and switched to speakerphone. "Julian, are you trying to punish me?" On the other end, Amelia's usual pleasant voice was replaced with pure frustration. I stayed silent, listening to her anger. "It's just a stupid necklace. Do you need to fabricate a marriage certificate to make such a scene? Do you want everyone to laugh at the bakers?" A fake marriage certificate? To her, the only thing I'd ever do was use such a cheap trick to get her attention. "Delete it now," she ordered, her tone commanding. I let out a cold laugh, squeezing Eva's warm hand next to mine. "Believe whatever you want. I already texted you that we're broken up, and my marriage now has nothing to do with you." Amelia, provoked by my calm demeanor, raised her voice in anger. "Who are you trying to fool? Everyone in this city knows you're my fiancé. Who would dare try to take you from me?" Realizing her outburst, she softened her tone, lacing it with her typical bossy sweetness. "Julian, I know you're upset with me. The necklace thing was my fault. Arthur just messed up. Stop this nonsense, okay? Let's delete those posts, and after we get married, I'll take you on a trip around the world, all right? Again, that condescending, high and mighty tone. It felt like all my feelings and decisions were just a childish tantrum, something she had to calmly manage from her superior position. I could almost picture her frowning slightly, wearing that affectionate yet slightly impatient expression. Ava listened quietly beside me, but finally she couldn't stay silent. She gently took the phone from my hand. "Stop bothering my wife," Ava said calmly, her words perfectly clear. Without waiting for any reaction from Amelia, she hung up immediately. My heart fluttered a bit. Hearing "wife" roll off her tongue so naturally made my cheeks flush slightly. Suddenly, Amelia started sending angry texts, flooding my phone with constant vibrations. "Who is that woman, Julian? How dare you find someone else? Feeling brave, are you? Playing around behind my back? Get back here now, or you'll see what happens." I looked at those texts with a blank face, swiping across the screen, and blocked her number. Eva had been watching me silently. She gave my hand a gentle squeeze as I kept my eyes on the phone. "Do you regret it?" Seeing that cautious look in her eyes made my heart ache softly. I let out a small laugh and shook my head, meeting her gaze and trying to sound cheerful. "Of course not. Why would I regret it? I've finally gotten rid of a problem. I should be celebrating." Hearing this, she seemed to relax, the tension in her eyes melting into a soft smile, like the first thaw of winter snow. "That's good," she said. After a moment's pause, I added, "Let's go see my parents first, and then visit yours, okay?" "Okay, sure," she replied, without any hesitation. Sure enough, when I brought Eva back to my parents' house, the living room air was so thick it was almost suffocating. My mother sat on the sofa with a furious expression, her eyes sharp and angry. She saw me and angrily grabbed a teacup, shattering it right at my feet. Ava instinctively pulled me behind her, shielding me. "Julian, look at you. Found some courage, have you?" My mother's voice was sharp and cruel, each word hitting like shards of ice. "Amelia called me. Said you're with another woman, scaring her with a fake marriage certificate. Very clever, aren't you?" "That's not a fake marriage certificate," I said, trying to stay calm, but the slight tremor in my voice gave away my fear. "I got married." "Married?" she sneered, her gaze falling on Eva with utter contempt. "Julian, are you out of your mind? Your marriage to Amelia was finalized ages ago. Everyone in town knows. And now you bring some stray home claiming she's your wife? Are you trying to humiliate us?" "I didn't just find anyone," I insisted, though my voice was shaky. But I stood tall. "Amelia and I broke up. I can marry whoever I want." "Broke up? You think you can just decide it's over?" My mother jumped to her feet, pointing at me. "Julian, let me tell you something. The Baker family is a match we are not letting go of. You need to cut all ties with this woman immediately. Go apologize to Amelia." She looked Eva up and down, her expression dripping with disdain. Ava spoke up, her voice calm and steady. "Hello, ma'am. It's been a while." My mother froze for a moment, as if someone had pressed the pause button on her rage. You're Eva?" she stammered, her pointing finger wavering. "You married Julian?" Ava nodded, composed. "Ma'am, I happen to know quite a bit about your family's business. My family also has a few business interests. Perhaps we could look into a partnership if you agree." My mother's face immediately shifted. Complicated. The words business and partnership seemed to unlock a hidden part of her scheming mind. The shock and anger receded like a low tide, replaced by a quick calculation. Watching her mood change so fast, any hope I had left completely burned out. To her, my marriage, my life, was never anything more than a well-planned business arrangement. Who I married didn't matter as much as what they could bring to the table. Indeed, after a moment of weighing her options, she gave the slightest nod, and a smile I had never seen before replaced her angry expression. "Ava, look at me, forgetting things. It's been what, 5 years? You look even better. Now, Eva, you should stay and have dinner with us. Let's catch up." Staring at her distorted face, a result of this rapid emotional shift, my stomach churned uncomfortably. I took a deep breath, pushing down the sharp pain inside. "No need, Mom," I said. "We need to head back and meet her parents." Her smile slipped momentarily before she quickly masked it. Of course. Go ahead. Don't let me keep you. Let's have a meal together another day." Escaping that suffocating house, Ava and I almost immediately booked a flight out of the country. A few hours later, the plane touched down in a new city. To my surprise, Eva's parents had no problem with me, even though Eva had married without giving them a warning. They didn't ask a single critical question. For once, I felt the warmth of a home I had long missed. After nearly a week with her family, we reluctantly headed back. The wedding planning was underway, sparking a sense of excitement and hope for the future. The plane landed, and after we grabbed our bags, there she was. Amelia, with bloodshot eyes. She appeared out of nowhere like a ghost. In just a few days, she had completely changed. Her hair was a mess, dull and lifeless. Her eyes were sunken, and she looked pale and haggard. Even her expensive outfit was wrinkled and hung loosely, making her look worn out. Amelia was staring at me intently, her eyes filled with obsession and disbelief. The moment she saw me, she charged at me like a hungry predator finding its prey, surprising Ava, who barely reacted in time to shield me. "Julian!" Her voice was rough, like sandpaper grating in her throat. "Leo said you're getting married. Tell me that's not true. You can't marry someone else, Julian. We never broke up." She was nearly shouting, drawing attention from people around us. "Tell me, I don't believe it. I don't believe you're actually marrying someone else." I instinctively frowned, an overwhelming wave of revulsion rising within me. Ava quickly pulled me behind her, keeping Amelia and her craziness away. I shook off her hand, which had almost grabbed me, and spoke coldly. "What does that have to do with you?" The air seemed to freeze for a moment after my words. Amelia's bloodshot eyes burned into me before shifting hatefully toward Eva. "Who are you?" Ava calmly shielded me, her tone firm. "I'm Julian's wife." "Wife?" Amelia repeated, as if hearing the biggest joke. She took a step closer, her veins popping out. "You're the one he's marrying? Do you even know he's mine? How dare you?" The rising nausea in my gut made me feel like I was about to vomit. Ava's frown deepened, her voice growing colder. "I've already told you once. Stop bothering my husband." The word husband hit Amelia's already fragile nerves hard. She exploded, reaching out to grab Eva by the collar, twisting her once pretty face into something terrifying. "Shut up! Julian is mine! He's always been mine!" People around us were watching, pointing, and whispering. Her hysterical state made my disgust reach a breaking point. No longer able to let her touch Eva, I pushed forward to confront her. "Amelia, have you completely lost your mind?" Seeing me, the wild flames in her eyes flickered, but she kept her grip on Eva's collar, turning to me with a wounded look. "Julian, tell her we never broke up. You're just angry at me, right?" I took a deep breath, suppressing the chaos in my chest. "Amelia," I said clearly, making sure to enunciate each word, "you cheated. What is this performance? Who are you trying to deceive? Do you think I'd actually believe you?" My words were like a bucket of ice water, dousing her burning anger. Her madness wavered, and her eyes flashed with panic. "No, it's not true, Julian," she tried to defend herself, her voice losing its conviction. But I didn't give her a chance. "Even if I wasn't marrying Eva, I would still break up with you. Amelia, you disgust me." The word disgust was spoken softly, yet it carried weight, like an invisible whip lashing her face. Amelia paused, her hand dropping weakly from Eva's collar. Color quickly drained from her face, leaving her ghastly pale, and her hollow eyes seemed even emptier. She reached out desperately, trying to grab my hand, her gaze pleading. "Julian, I truly messed up. I sent Arthur away." Her fingers were cold and trembling, and when they brushed against my arm, I recoiled as if bitten by a snake. She missed, and her eyes darkened. "These days without you made me realize it was just a casual thing with Arthur. He tricked me. I only love you, Julian. Believe me, it's only you." Her confession sounded completely ridiculous to me now. Just a casual thing? Tricked? Could those light words really erase the hurt she had caused? I stared at her, hoping to see sincerity, but finding only her usual selfishness and excuses. "Every word you say is laughable," I said calmly, without a hint of emotion. She opened her mouth, wanting to speak, but no sound came out. She just looked at me with despairing eyes. "Did you forget how you treated me?" I continued softly, each word like a small hammer tapping at her heart and my own painful memories. I suppressed the bitterness inside and added, "And Grandma's necklace? You knew how important that necklace was to me." And I looked back at her face, older and more determined than ever. "Yet you let Arthur break it." Her face turned completely white, her lips trembling as if she wanted to explain herself but couldn't get a word out. Yeah, what can she say? The facts were right there, plain and undeniable. I clearly remembered that feeling of deep despair and anger when I found the necklace broken, and she just dismissed it, saying, "It's just a necklace. I'll buy you another one." Just for that, my voice was unexpectedly calm, but carried an air of absolute finality. "I could never forgive you." After saying that, I took a deep breath, as if trying to expel all the tension from my chest. Without looking at Amelia's devastated face again, I turned and gently tugged on Ava's sleeve. "Let's go." I didn't even glance back at Amelia. For the next few days, Ava and I focused on getting ready for the wedding. Even though she managed most of it on her own, she always kindly asked for my opinion on anything that involved me. This was completely different from Amelia, who practically took a back seat during our engagement and didn't even look at the plans until the wedding day. When I was getting ready in the makeup room, someone suddenly burst in and forcefully grabbed me. It took me a second to realize it was Amelia. She dragged me to the underground parking garage and stared at me intensely. "So you're just going to ignore our 5 years together and marry that tramp without a care? Haven't I been good enough to you these past 5 years? You said you wanted to wait until marriage for your first time, so I waited 5 years for you. What kind of woman waits for 5 years? Now that you're marrying someone else, I'm here to claim what you owe me." Seeing her crazed eyes, I realized she had completely lost her mind. Suppressing my fear, I tried to reason with her. "Amelia, calm down." She sneered. "Calm? I'll show you who's calm. Let's see if that tramp will still want you." Her presence felt repulsive, like something I couldn't shake off. In my moment of despair, the car door suddenly opened. It was Ava, arriving just in time. Amelia's eyes were red, and she was hysterical. Eva gently wiped away my tears and turned her icy gaze to Amelia. "Call the police." The police arrived quickly and took Amelia away. As she was being led off, she yelled, "Do you know who my parents are? Let me go." Eva looked at me with concern. "Should we postpone the wedding?" I shook my head firmly. "No, you've worked on this wedding for so long. I'm not giving it up." Eva and I successfully went through with the wedding, and Amelia was eventually released. Given her family's influence, she wasn't held for very long. But soon, I noticed something strange online. The topic, "Amelia suspected of assault," quickly gained attention on social media. I realized immediately it was Eva's doing. No matter how much money the Bakers spent, the topic couldn't be silenced. Plus, their company's stock plummeted, its value cut in half in just a few days. In the end, Amelia's parents had no choice but to publicly apologize and promise to send Amelia overseas to try and save their declining stock prices. After this, Eva hugged me and said, "She'll never bother us again." I hugged her back and softly said, "Yeah,